Hey, good morning. It's 7:04 on this Monday, April 14th. It's time to head to Studio B for Coleman and Company.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome. It's warm this morning, although I understand it's going to be a cold front coming in tonight, but let's enjoy today while we can. And let me tell you that each Monday we're on the air for Absolute Kubota, located now at 1506 West Main here in Lebanon. Matt Bryson's Absolute Kubota, where you'll find Kubota tractors, hay equipment, zero-turn mowers, RTVs. They also have those very fine X-Mark zero-turn mowers. And we might talk a little bit about mowers this morning because the grass has come up. A lot of people have already mowed their lawns a time or two. And if your lawnmower isn't performing up to par, why don't you go by Absolute Kubota and see what they have to offer? Maybe you are interested in a zero-turn mower. They've been around for a good while, and I think most people who get a new mower get a zero-turn mower. And I think also that once you have experienced one of those and gotten used to the difference from that steering wheel, maybe, to the two levers that you push front and back, then you're not going to go back to what you had, but you ought to try it if you haven't. And most people, I'll bet by now, have. And with a zero-turn mower, you can mow faster, more efficient, really. And you're going to love what you find there at Absolute Kubota, whether you choose the Kubota or zero-turn mower or the X-Mark. And they have service to back up the sale. That's another good thing. Any piece of equipment that you use is going to need maintenance, and from time to time, some things are going to wear out or break or whatever. Now, I think with Kubota and X-Mark, you're getting some of the best you can get. They're going to last for a good while, but again, depending on how well you take care of things, has a lot to do with how long they last and how many things might tear up. But you've got the whole Absolute Kubota departments there to take care of you. The sales department, the service department, and they're going to look after your needs. And especially when it comes to lawnmowers, this is one of the things they specialize in, and they can do the service work for you, or provide you parts if you want to do it yourself. And so many times, if you get your request in for a part that they don't have, and they do have a lot of them, but if it's something that they have to order, most times, it can be there by the next day. So service after the sale is a very important, it's pretty much the lifeblood of Matt Bryson's Absolute Kubota there at 1506 West Main. And we want to mention Land Pride and Hustler brands as well. They are more that go with what you get. Really, they have everything from weed eaters to hay balers, and you can write it off their lot. You can write it off your taxes. They are open Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., and now on Saturdays from 8 a.m. to noon. Go to their website and check out more, where you'll find them there, www.absolutekubota.com. So, all the sales department, all the service department, they also have a guy who does seed and fertilizer, and if you need lawn work, need to do some work on your lawn, need some advice, they can certainly give it to you. They even have some publications that you can get to learn more about maybe doing it yourself, or just what you need to do to have a better-looking lawn, if that is one of your goals. Absolute Kubota, 1506 West Main here in Lebanon. You'd give them a call at 615-449-6171. All right, at about 8.5 minutes after the hour, I'm going to go to the telephone. State Representative Susan Lynn has got a busy day, I understand, and she's calling in this morning. And Representative Lynn, are you there?
I am. Hi. Thank you, Coleman. Thank you for understanding.
Well, good morning. It's always good to hear you and to have you and find out what's happening at state legislature. Since we actually have three people who represent parts of Wilson County, we alternate Mondays with you and Representative Boyd. It's your turn today. And, of course, we have Representative Michael Hale, who we work in every once in a while, who has a little portion of the county to the east. But let's get right to it. What's going on? What are you expecting as we wind things down the legislature?
Well, I have to get down there very early this morning. I have to be in Finance Subcommittee, and who knows how long it's going to take, because there were 172 bills on the Finance Subcommittee calendar this morning. So it's probably going to take a very long time for them to get to my two bills, but I have two bills in Finance Subcommittee this morning. One has to do with the Katie Beckett program, and that would help families who were utilizing Part A of the Katie Beckett program to better use their home and community-based services. Right now they have to go through an MCO to use those services, and the complaints are that it's just a very bureaucratic process. They can't get the services that they want. When they do, it's very overpriced. Things wouldn't be as expensive as if they had an account that they can get reimbursed from, like they do in Katie Beckett Part B. Katie Beckett Part B has an account. Families know what they can use that money for, and they apply to be reimbursed from that. For instance, one family testified in committee that they have to go to a wedding this summer up in the north somewhere. I think they said it was Michigan, and their child, the people on Katie Beckett Part A are children, and they're very, very medically fragile. And in order to make this trip as a family, they would need an oxygen tank to take with them on that trip. And of course, they would return it when they got back because they have all of that at home. Katie Beckett Part A is designed to keep these children at home and not in a nursing home, which is certainly much cheaper for the taxpayers than that child being in a nursing home. So anyway, they were turned down, having a terrible time getting the oxygen tank for their trip. And so those are some of the things that they would be able to apply for, get that reimbursed to them, and then they could do normal things like that. And that's part of it too, keeping these medically fragile children at home as long as they can be kept at home. Some children are so medically fragile, as you know, they can't be kept at home. But as long as they can have a better family life and do, what feels more normal to all other families. So I'm really excited about that bill. They did put a fiscal note on it. I don't really understand why. I hope the committee will agree that this is simply reallocating the funds instead of going through the MCO. It'll go into a pot of money that they can apply to being reimbursed from. And then the second one is about the school breakfast and lunch program. We would do away with that middle category. As you know, there's the free lunch, reduced lunch, and then school lunch that children pay for. Well, what this would do is that middle category of reduced lunch, which children pay about 30 cents to 40 cents, 30 cents for breakfast, 40 cents for lunch in Wilson County, that would just be absorbed by the free category. And so the state would pay these school districts, and it's really only a little bit over $2 million to have that absorbed by the free category, and it would make a lot of difference to these families who are in this category. A lot of these families, their situation is very precarious. While in the beginning of the year, they might qualify for the reduced lunch program and not the free lunch program. During the course of the year, very often situations change, and they rarely reapply to the program. They can really struggle to pay even $30 in Wilson County. A child can get $30 on their account, and then the parent has to pay for that, and it can be a real difficulty.
Any real opposition to either one of these?
I don't think so. It's just the funding, and hopefully the Finance Committee will find them to be a priority. And then I have a bill on the calendar tonight, and I'm really, really excited about this bill. It's about PANS and PANDAS, and those are pediatric autoimmune conditions. Basically, it's related to the strep virus. As you know, strep is very prevalent in Tennessee. And what this will do is add account codes to TennCare, because right now physicians are very, worried about treating it. It's often treated as a psychiatric disorder, and it's not. It needs to be treated as strep would be treated. And once it gets into the brain, it needs even more intense treatment. Well, those account codes were not in TennCare, so this will put those codes in TennCare, and then when physicians see that, they'll realize, oh, I do have codes I can use to treat this, and very, very excited about it. I think it'll help a lot of people.
Okay, it is time for us to take a break. State Representative Susan Lynn is with us this morning, and we'll continue our discussion after this break on Coleman and Company, FM 98.9.
Let's see what's happening on the roadways, and it's all brought to you by our friends at Bates Ford. Get a battery installed in most vehicles. $199.95. Bates Ford, 1780 Franklin Road. Now at traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. An accident involving some injuries over in Bordeaux, tying up the intersection at Clarksville Pike at Buena Vista Pike. It's a pretty good accident here. Again, it's got traffic slow in both directions. Also, a wreck that's going to be south of town at Cedar Mott Drive at OHB. That one did have some injuries as well. Starting to finally pick up 65 northbound as you work your way up through Spring Hill, coming in from Murray County into southern Williamson County. If you recently suffered some hail or storm damage to your roof, call Independent Roofing Specialist this week. Check out irsroofs.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Renewal happens here at Lebanon Center for Rehabilitation and Healing. Lebanon Center for Rehabilitation and Healing has experienced new leadership and a new atmosphere. Same location in the heart of Lebanon, 731 Castle Heights Court on the Castle Heights campus. Lebanon Center for Rehabilitation and Healing is providing 5-star clinical outcomes to short-term and long-term care residents. Call 615-444-4319 for a tour and to experience the new culture. Renewal happens here at Lebanon Center for Rehabilitation and Healing. And we continue here on a Monday morning. State Representative Susan Lynn is, as soon as she gets through with our conversation here, going to rush from her home to the legislative session and be there by 8 o'clock this morning. I want to talk about this. I think it's coming up tonight in the House, and I believe the Senate barely passed this last week, and it has to do with those children whose parents are here illegally, and about their education, and if school districts, maybe who are strapped for funding, could require them to pay for some of their education. So if you will, explain a little bit more and tell us about what's coming up here.
Sure. And Coleman, let me start by explaining. Do you remember, it was probably about 20 years ago, the state legislature, some say inadvertently, passed a bill that sort of restructured our driver's license law. And what it did, it allowed illegal aliens to get driver's licenses in Tennessee. Mm-hmm. And what happened? Tennessee was flooded with illegal aliens. Of course, then we had all kinds of incidents, and 9/11 happened, all of that. And we saw, well, it's really not good to have a non-citizen have a driver's license. And that was one of the things I campaigned on and got elected, was taking driver's licenses away from illegal aliens. Some people said, no, it's terrible. They have to drive. They have to get around. They need to have a driver's license. But these driver's licenses also allowed them to get on airplanes, and it allowed them to have the impression of being a citizen. And we actually had a lot of illegal aliens on our voter rolls back then. And once we did away with that, we were able to get them off of our voter rolls. Well, that caused, when we passed the law, illegal aliens can no longer get driver's licenses, it demagnetized Tennessee. And a lot of the illegal aliens went to other states where they could still get that official state ID. Well, that's what this bill is about. This bill is about further demagnetizing Tennessee. And if illegal aliens know that they will have to pay to have their child educated in a Tennessee school, in a school district, then they will go to another state. And that is what this bill is about. There were plenty of sanctuary states where aliens can go. And remember, illegal aliens, they keep wages low in Tennessee. They raise the violent crime rate, traffic stops and accidents, and trafficking drugs and sex trafficking. They cost us a ton in social services and uncompensated emergency room care. And they also tie up our courtrooms and our jails. So this bill is really about demagnetizing Tennessee further. It's been a long time. And I know there's a lot of people who say, this seems harsh, this seems harsh. That is what this bill is about. So the sponsor will have a brisk debate tonight on the floor, and we'll see what happens in the House. I really am not sure. I have not talked to my colleagues to see what they think.
So you don't have much feel for whether it's gonna make it or going to be rejected?
I don't. I really can't predict it. I really can't. We had another interesting bill last week, which I really never could have predicted that bill either. We voted to regulate hemp-derived THC products. As you remember, a few years ago, we allowed the sale of hemp in Tennessee, and a lot of people came out with these medical products, creams, and all that. Well, also there are a lot of products for smoking and for vaping, and what we're finding is that it's very unregulated, and these products for smoking and vaping are actually over the legal limit. It's just the Department of Agriculture has been regulating this, so this bill will put these hemp products for the smoking and vaping under ABC, alcohol, our law enforcement there. The sponsor says this will establish a hemp distributor license. It requires hemp suppliers to register brands and assign a distributor for those brands. And it bans the sale of THCA and THCP and synthetics, which is very, very important. Those are extremely dangerous. We're seeing young people who use these products get schizophrenia. It is very, very tragic, and it was a huge fight in committee and on the floor. The sponsor of the bill had it in there, ban THCA, P, and synthetics. Well, in committee, someone came along with a amendment to take that out of the bill so that things could keep going along just as they are. It's just that these dealers will just have to be registered. I voted no on that. So it got to the floor. Another legislator had an amendment to restore it to the original bill where those things are banned, THCA, P, and synthetics. And thank goodness, it was a battle. I'm telling you, we went back and forth. We really had a lot of debate, but that amendment passed. So it restored the requirements of the bill to the original bill. It had already passed in the Senate as the original bill, and I'm very, very happy about that. It also prohibits hemp sales within 1,000 feet of a school. It does add a 2-cent tax per milligram of THC to the hemp products, and it only allows the sale of hemp products at liquor stores and licensed hemp retailers. As you've seen probably, you see these hemp shops all over town, everywhere. Well, they will now have to register and be licensed. It prohibits direct shipment of hemp-derived THC products to consumers, and it does have limits on the serving size and how many servings can be in a package. So we're trying to get a handle on this. It really has been out of control. I don't go to hemp shops, but I have friends who do, and I can tell you I've heard quite a few stories. One young person I know works at a shop, heard horrific stories, but more than that, we're seeing effects on young people. I actually have a coworker right now whose granddaughter got something called popcorn lung. She was a hemp smoker, a vapor, and got something called popcorn lung, and this young person has died twice in the last 2 weeks. They brought her back. She's been on a ventilator. She will have to be on oxygen likely for the rest of her life, and she's 21 years old. These products can be very dangerous, and I'm glad we're getting a hold on it.
All right, I want to bring up a couple of bills here that have property tax relief for Tennessee veterans. One is House Bill 48 from State Representative Michael Hale, and then House Bill 436 sponsored by State Representative John Crawford. They both have some relief for disabled veterans, and just wondered if you comment on that quickly.
Yes, one of them passed last week, and I'm thinking it might have been Crawford's that passed last week, and that is just great. One allows property tax relief, the local governments to put in more money towards that program if they can budget that in their budget, and so probably not that they couldn't already, but it certainly does make an accountability mechanism, and so if they want to do that, they certainly can do that and provide that property tax relief that veterans really need. They're both good bills.
All right, the budget is as we might say, waiting in the wings. It's not going to be long. Probably before 2 weeks pass by, you will have voted on the budget, unless y'all have a recess. And just wondered what we can expect, say, for the next 2 weeks before we see you again, and also how things are going at this point.
So I'm hearing actually that maybe Monday, next Monday, we'll be done. But as I told you, there's an awful lot of bills in finance still. They kind of back up in finance because they have to figure out the budget and whether or not they can be funded. So they kind of back up there. And then tonight on our calendar, there are 100 bills on our calendar tonight. And those are, of course, bills that didn't go through finance, or some of them might have, and they didn't have a fiscal note. But there are an awful lot of bills on tonight's calendar, so we're going to be there quite a while. Oh, no, I'm sorry, there's 75 bills on tonight's calendar.
Yeah, that sounds like a real workload to me.
It is. I can't tell you what it's like to look at all those bills before you get to the floor. It's a lot of reading and all.
Well, as far as the budget itself, I mean, it gets scrutinized. It gets changed a little, sometimes a lot. There are a number of people who have their hand out for any excess dollars that might be found there. You hearing? I know we have some people here in Wilson County who are hoping to get some help, and it all depends on whether that can be behind the budget or not, as I understand it.
That's right. And I have to say the governor's budget this year, he didn't have a whole lot of big ticket items, but that's also because of revenue collections. So it'll be interesting. Generally, the General Assembly budgets about $20 million for legislative initiatives, $20 million. So, a lot of these bills, like some of these bills, will have fiscal notes of $7 million for one bill. That really has to be a high priority item for that to get funded by the Finance Committee. So even though people may like that bill, that's a big chunk of that $20 million that we make available for legislative initiatives. So, the Finance Committee really puts pencil to paper and tries to figure out there's a lot of good ideas. They make it to Finance Committee because they're a good idea, but what realistically can we fund?
All right. Well, you'll probably have passed the budget by 2 weeks from now, but I've got you scheduled for 2 weeks from today, and probably kind of be a wrap-up for us. But any reason to think that you won't be able to support whatever budget makes it to the floor?
Oh, no. I expect that I would definitely support the budget that makes it to the floor. And I want to tell you, I'm on the board of directors of the American Legislative Exchange Council. They called me on Friday, and there was a big announcement coming tomorrow for Tennessee regarding national rankings for Tennessee. Tennessee is really doing great fiscally. So I'll be watching the news tomorrow. I cannot spill the beans. It is embargoed. Right now. But there is really big news for Tennessee. Tennessee's doing great.
All right. Well, I know you need to hit the road, so we're going to say goodbye for now, but we'll talk to you again in 2 weeks, and thanks for being with us today.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. State Representative Susan Lynn, and that is part one of Coleman and Company. We've got more, and we hope you'll keep it right here, FM 98.9.
Let's see what's happening on the roadways, and it's all brought to you by Absolute Kubota. Premium brands require premium parts and service. Contact Absolute Kubota's Elite Certified Service Department to schedule an appointment. 449-6171. Now in traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. Starting to build out here in a couple of spots. Here's why we're seeing heavier traffic volume on Vietnam Vets, especially coming westbound as that traffic builds out of Sumner County, Hendersonville, working your way towards Davidson County. It's slow now on 65 northbound and up through Spring Hill as that traffic really starts to pick up on 65 up through Brentwood, Franklin, just up through Williamson County in general. Princess Hot Chicken has new items on their menu. You can check them out this week by ordering online at princesshotchicken.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Need a venue for your next corporate training, meeting, luncheon, or customer appreciation event? These are just a few of the event options that the Farm Bureau Expo Center can accommodate within its 79,000 square feet of adaptable event space. The Farm Bureau Expo Center offers unparalleled versatility for corporate events in Wilson County. Come on by and check us out. For booking details as well as upcoming events, visit farmbureauexpo.com or find us on Facebook. We look forward to seeing you soon at the Farm Bureau Expo.
We're the Mount Juliet Plumbers, and we're just a phone call away. We know if you're having a plumbing problem, it's not a good day. So give us a call right now, and we'll be on the way. 615-733-5665. Call 615-733-5665. Call the Singing Plumber right now, and I'll tackle all your plumbing problems. And check out my music at edkellymusic.com. It's the 615-733-5665.
Gregory Dental Group in Lebanon is in a new location, 1746 West Main in Lebanon, across from Sports Village. Gregory Dental Group offers cosmetic procedures, dental implant services, and digital dentures. Premium dentures in just 2 appointments.
Hi, I'm Dr. Derek Gregory. In my office, you can count on compassionate staff who will truly listen to you, take the time to get to know you, and discuss your personal needs.
No insurance? No problem. Call about the discount plan. Gregory Dental Group, 444-0322.
We'll have partly cloudy skies and very warm conditions for today. Afternoon highs in the lower 80s. Showers tonight, lows around 50, and then partly cloudy and cooler on Tuesday. Afternoon highs in the mid 60s. This forecast is brought to you by Walker Auction and Realty, professional auction and real estate services. Get top dollar for your home, land, or personal property. Log on to MikeWalkerAuctions.com. They know auctions. With your Severe View forecast, I'm Storm Specialist Drew Richards.
Welcome you to part 2 of Coleman and Company here on Monday morning. We do our usual, and I talk to Gail Hellum about the Farm Bureau Expo Center. Gail Hellum, Director of Marketing and Events, and let's say good morning to you.
Good morning.
And we're glad to have you right here in studio with us this morning. There's always a lot of things that we can talk about, and we do invite everybody to check out your website at farmbureauexpo.com or Facebook for events, event details, leasing information, and more.
That's correct.
All right.
That's correct.
How's everything?
Everything is good. We had another busy weekend. That's not a big surprise. One of our almost last dance competitions was this weekend, and I was just checking the counter for the building, and probably right at 3,500 people for the weekend. Could be a little bit more than that, but that's a newer show to us, and they have always produced great numbers for what they bring in as compared to some of the ones that have been with us for a while. And speaking of that, we have some dance teams. We have one company in particular that has 3 different dance competitions. So they're all underneath one umbrella. And I had commented, maybe close to a year ago, that I'm seeing trends. I'm seeing that there's some shifting going on. And that was definitely one of the ones I was kind of watching, and they have merged one of those three into the other two.
Oh.
So that opened up a weekend in for us in 2028. So we're working diligently to fill that. But the dance teams are always a lucrative event for us to have. Plus, of course, it brings tons of people into the area, and they hang out for an entire weekend to be part of this competition.
Yeah. Well, it's amazing in a way, and yet it's part of who you are, what you are to Expo Center to plan way in advance. I mean, here 2028 is 3 years away, and you're probably planning in some regards even farther out than that.
Oh yeah. I mean, the common request at this point is some are 26, others are 27, 28. You know, I'm working with a exhibition that's actually a Pigeon Association exhibition. They're looking to rotate through Tennessee. They've never been to Tennessee, and so we're kind of working through those questions and those logistics. But they didn't want to talk about anything except for 27 or 28 because they were also booked.
Do you have in the back of your mind eventually having concerts and maybe some big ones? Is that in the working?
It is.
Yeah?
It is. In a couple different veins, it is. Really, it's a dream of mine to have the concerts there. That has always been one of my initiatives. The logistics of that in the expo, for the way the expo is designed, is a little more challenging because we do have the high vaulted ceilings in the main exhibit hall. That does create, you do have to be very specific for sound. It creates some challenges there. So you do have to look at that. And then the seating component of it, everything is on one level, which if you think about it, where most concerts are, there's some sort of rise or elevation to the back seats to give them a decent view. Yeah. So there's some challenges with that. Do I think that we could ever compete with something like Bridgestone Arena? No, not in the least.
But I'm not sure you would want to.
Correct. I don't want to. But I will say that I think we're a good fit for a lot of things, much like we're very much a tier 2 facility. I'm not Bridgestone Arena. I'm not Nissan Stadium. Don't try to be, don't want to be downtown Nashville either. But we do have a niche, and that's where I'm trying to get us to. The only time that I think concerts would be really viable from a fundraising or from a financial component would be a fundraising type thing or something that isn't so bent on making the top dollar on it. Concerts make their money on ticket sales, and they make their money on alcohol sales and so forth. And see, we don't make money on alcohol. That's not the way we're set up with the state. So that eliminates that. And with the expo, you could definitely have a higher ticket price than, say, something nominal, but then you've got to deliver on the product price.
Yeah.
So there's a balance there.
Well, we're about to run out of time, but anything in particular in the next week or two that you want to mention as you leave this morning?
Well,
actually, right before you leave.
Farm Bureau was coming into the building next weekend. This weekend we have our staff gets a much deserved break. It's Easter weekend, and so that we are off on Friday and we don't have anything scheduled, and most events don't want to schedule for Easter weekend. And then Farm Bureau comes in, and then Cumberland graduation if it's a rain date for them.
Right.
So, it's kind of a weird transitional time frame before we launch into the summer.
All right. Well, thanks for being with us today. Have a great one, and hopefully we'll see you next Monday.
Sounds wonderful. Have a good day.
Gail Hallam, Director of Marketing and Events for the Farm Bureau Expo Center. And that takes us to 21 and a half before the hour. This is the Monday that we feature the singing plumber. And let me tell you that Ed Kelly with Mount Juliet Plumbing and Leak Detection is right here and right ready to go. Good morning.
Well, good morning, Coleman.
Good to see you again.
Well,
How's it going?
It's going good. I almost didn't come in today. I was having some stomach pain, but
well, I'm glad you made it.
I think we're going to be okay.
Well, I surely hope so. Let me say that if you want to reach Ed Kelly and talk plumbing, you call 615-733-5665, 5665, and you can also go to mountjulietplumber.com. I got that right so far, right?
Yep.
Now, if you want to know about Ed Kelly's singing, the singing plumber, you go to edkellymusic.com. So you got it both ways.
Yeah.
What are we doing this morning?
Well, we're going to play a new song.
All right.
And but first, I'd like to talk about plumbing. We do leak detection, and leak detection is there's an art to it. We have the equipment to find your leak, but there's also a process that you have to know how to use the equipment, and sometimes it's not always cut and dry. We went and did a leak detection about a week or two ago, and the guy had another company out there, and they just wanted to replace his line because they didn't know how to do. They didn't do leak detection, and so we went out there and we detected his leak, and sure enough, even though we might think a leak is where it is, we don't want to say it's there absolutely until we dig it up, because there could be a variance. But anyway, this guy, his name is David. He said he had a water line leak in his yard, and the other guys wanted to charge him $3,000 to replace the whole line. But Mount Juliet Plumbing said they would find the leak and repair it for $950, and they didn't have to tear up the whole yard. They came out the next morning and were done in a few hours. The other guys took days to get back to me. So that's a good positive review from this fella. Because he was pretty happy that he...
You actually were reading what he had written.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, it certainly is. There's nothing like a satisfying...
Another leak we found last week, it was about 5 foot deep, and I wasn't hearing anything. And then finally I got to one point, and I heard noise. I heard the leak. So we figured out where we needed to dig, and it was about 5 foot deep. And everything in the whole ditch was dry, all the dirt and everything. And so I was starting to question if I heard what I heard, or if there was something else that was weird going on. And we dug all the way down to the pipe, and then finally, when we couldn't dig anymore because we didn't want to hit the pipe, had one of our guys start digging with the shovel. And as soon as he put the shovel in the ground, water started spraying up. And I think it was a small miracle, really, because I thought we were going to have to make a bigger hole. This was a real big hole, but I was thinking, well, maybe the leak's a few feet over that way, and I was going to have to make it a little bigger. But as soon as he put the shovel in the ground to take out the first scoop, water just started coming out.
Well, I think from talking with you over the months here, that leak detection is one of the things, one of your strong points. When the example you gave in the beginning here, how that it was going to cost $3,000 that you did for $950 and found the leak in a hurry, says a lot about what you're able to do.
Leak detection, it's like I said, it's not always cut and dry. There are situations where it's a lot more difficult to find a leak, and you could spend several hours or even a day looking for it, because the bigger your water line is, the longer of the run, the harder it is going to be to find it, unless we get, not always the case, but if you've got a 2,000 foot run, it's not going to be like waving a magic wand across the ground and then, oh, there's your leak. It's going to take some time, and that expense is going to build up. And so what we do with all of these leaks is we come out and we do a basic leak detection. We charge a flat rate fee, And if we're not confident where the leak is within an hour and a half, then we recommend replacing the line if that's in the best interest of the customer, because they could spend several $100s trying to find a leak. Let's say the pipe's 30 or 40 years old. You fix that. You finally find that leak and you fix it, and then there's another leak that springs up, later. So
if you hadn't found it within an hour and a half, it's usually in the customer's best interest just to do another line.
Yeah, because they can take that money that they would be paying to do the leak detection they'd be putting it towards a new water line, especially if it's that old.
Do you find most leaks within an hour and a half?
Yeah, most leaks we find within about an hour or less. It just depends. I mean, like I said, we'll get these calls and they'll have a small farm and they'll want a magic. They'll want magic, and sometimes we do magic sometimes, but it's not the type of magic that most people think. We have to use our equipment and our knowledge and our experience to figure out these complicated leaks, and sometimes it's not always cut and dry. And so,
but you are a leak detection pro. That's one of the things you really feel good about, your ability to take care of, to find the leaks, to take care of them,
right.
Help people in.
And another customer, her name is Susie. She said, fabulous, professional, punctual, knowledgeable, and just wonderful people. Thank you, Susie.
Absolutely. Well, you can reach Ed Kelly again at the Singing Plumber at 615-733-5665. You might want to write that number down, 615-733-5665. We need to take a break, and I believe you got music when we return?
Yeah, we're going to play a new song when we come back.
All right. This is Coleman and Company, FM 98.9.
Let's see what's happening on the roadways. Want to thank Bates Ford, and that regular oil change is $39.95 up to 5 quarts of oil, tax and disposal, 1780 Franklin Road. Now at traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. We still have some volume over here trying to get past the airport here in Donaldson on 40 coming westbound as it continues to build in from Wilson County there into Hermitage. It's bunching up at times with some volume. Right on schedule, actually, westbound. Vietnam Vets at Conference Drive, all that traffic flowing in right now from Sumner County, Hendersonville, headed into the Nashville area. Hey, when you need dependable towing here in Middle Tennessee, call STR Towing and Recovery. Just check out STRTowing.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Get a great deal on select Kubota equipment. The BX Series is the #1 selling subcompact tractor in the U.S. The versatile lineup is built to help you make the most of your land. Right now, bring home select Kubota equipment for 0% APR for up to 84 months. Now through February 16th, see us or go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
Absolute Kubota, 1506 West Main, Lebanon.
Mount Juliet Plumbing is the company to call it. Mount Juliet Plumbing, we can fix it all. If you have a plumbing problem and you're needing it solved, call Mount Juliet Plumbing today. We will fix it right, the Mount Juliet Plumbing way. We tackle all your plumbing problems. Call the Singing Plumber right now. Give us a call today over at Mount Juliet Plumbing and Leak Detection at 615-733-5665. Check out my music at edkellymusic.com.
And we welcome you to our final segment, Coleman and Company, here for Monday morning. And just looking at the calendar today is the 14th. Ed Kelly's with me, Mount Juliet Plumbing and Leak Detection. You know what tomorrow is, April 15th?
That's tax day, y'all.
It is.
Better get them taxes in or file that extension, right?
I've got mine ready to go. I'm just waiting until tomorrow to mail it. Okay, we promised people a song. We're going to switch from plumbing to singing now, the Singing Plumber.
Yeah, so we're going to play this song. It's called There's the Door.
All right.
Hello, my love. It's been 13 long years of sweat, blood, and tears. I just found out there's another man who's been weighing on your mind. It makes me so mad and leaves me feeling sad. It don't sit well with me. I'd rather let you leave. If you really wanna go, there's the door. If you really wanna go, don't you come around here no more. I've got my pride, and I don't need a wife thinking about anybody but me. I give up. I'm throwing in the towel with a lonesome howl. I throw up my hands. I don't love you anymore. You sure burned the bridge of our romance. Pack up your stuff. I wish you all the luck. If you really wanna go, there's the door. If you really wanna go, don't you come around here no more. I've got my pride. I don't need a wife thinking about anybody but me. Maybe I'll get me one of them supermodels and get to rub lotion all over her skin. Maybe I'll run off and marry a country singer, and we'll sing duets for our fans. If you really wanna go, there's the door. If you really wanna go, don't you come around here no more. I've got my pride. I don't need a wife thinking about anybody but me. I've got my pride. I don't need a wife thinking about anybody but me.
All right, there he is singing Plumber Ed Kelly. Tell us about that song.
Well,
you wrote it. You write all your material. Okay.
Yeah, so this song is a little personal. I've been married for 13 years, and my wife came to me about a few days after Valentine's Day, and she said she had been thinking about another man, and it really, just pissed me off. And, of course, we all have thought about other people. I mean, you're married, you're human. You know what I mean? I mean, any married person, they'd be lying if they never said they never thought about what it would be like to be with someone else other than who they have. It's always, it goes back to that song I wrote, the grass ain't always greener on the other side. We've all done it. And so that's kind of what this song is about. It just...
and this is your reaction.
It just didn't sit so well with me. And so, so the first verse is really more true than the other ones, but I had to finish the song. And so every song can't end with a happy ending. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
it's just the way the music flows. You got to go with the flow of the music. And so, you know, the second verse talking about throwing in the towel, I mean, that's a real scenario. That's not my real scenario, but I think if you're in a relationship, a marriage, you know, you've got to have your boundaries and your standards, and there's got to be a commitment on both sides, you know, for life. And, you know, if you're married to someone and they think that there's something better out there, then what are your options? You know, you can get mad about it, you can be depressed about it, you know.
And what's the title of this again?
Or you can just say, okay, well, there's the door, you know.
There's the door.
You know, I'm a big country music fan, and I kind of feel sorry for some of those men and some of those old country songs, like the one George Jones sang, He Stopped Loving Her Today.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of those songs, you know, where someone's love was so unconditional that it did not matter what the other person did. But, you know, that's not always reality. You know, we're all humans, and we have to take life as it comes. And
yeah, and then there's the other part that sometimes goes with that. There's the door, and don't let it hit you in the backside as you leave.
Yeah. You know, I'm a big fan of a lot of those old sad songs where the guy was just a fool for the woman. But I've taken a different stance on life. I've decided that it's not worth being a fool for any woman. You know, if they decide they want to go, then what can you do about it? I mean,
there's the door.
I put God on a pedestal. I love my wife, and I love my kids, and I love my family, and I've tried to make my wife feel as secure as possible in our marriage. You know, I don't flirt with other women. I try not to talk to a lot of women because I don't want that appearance, you know. But you know, we're all just human, and so that's what that song is. I never thought I'd have to write a song like that, but it just was a moment in our marriage, and I think that she's got the message real clear. I mean, I love her to death, but you know, if she thinks she can find a better, she thinks she can find a better man, then I know I can. I know that life is what it is, and so. But as far as the website,
yeah,
you know, I've got all these songs on here. A Part of Me Died. There's Several Tears Left to Cry. That's a good sad one about love. There's also, you know, Blame Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And I've got a sweet romantic song called I'm Coming Home. I love that song. And then there's I Can't Do This Alone. Oh, and yes, country music ain't country no more. So there's a lot of songs on here.
You wrote?
Yeah.
Everything you do, you have written?
Yeah, and you're not going to hear these coming out of any other singer's mouth.
Yeah.
These are my songs. I'm going to be singing them. None of these singers on the radio, most of them don't write their own stuff. They couldn't write if their life depended on it, probably. But they depend on songwriters like me to write good music. But I'm kind of a selfish songwriter. I don't give my stuff away.
What if somebody came to you and said, "Oh, just this one. There's the door. I like that song. I'd like to record it." Would you allow?
We'd have to be talking about some money. I mean, it'd have to be a lot of money. I'm not going to just give my stuff away because I know how good it is, you know. But maybe I'm a little biased, but you know, whatever. People that hear my stuff and compare it with radio stuff today, they're going to pick Ed Kelly's music over a lot of the stuff today.
Of Willie Nelson wrote for forgot which song it was now, but anyway, I think Farron Young took it and made a big hit out of it. But he bought it from Willie for maybe $1,000 or something. Might have been $50, but Willie was hungry at the time. This was a long time ago.
Oh yeah.
But you do plumbing, so you're not getting hungry.
Well, I'm open to talking to people about if they want to record some of my music. If Kenny Chesney or Jason Aldean comes and says, "Hey, I really like this song," then we'll talk about it and see what it's all about.
Your song number the same as your plumbing number? If somebody wants to
they can get a hold of me at my business line.
615-733-5665.
And I can also, if y'all want to book me, y'all can call that number too, and we can set something up, and I can come do a private show for y'all.
Yeah. Okay.
That's an option. Yeah.
All right. Well, how long you been singing?
All my life. All my life.
All right. And you've been writing nearly as long?
I've been writing since I was a teenager.
Yeah. Okay.
And
we're about out of time here, Ed. Again, if you need plumbing, Mount Juliet Plumbing and Leak Detection, Ed Kelly, and you can go to the website www.mountjulietplumber.com. Also, www.edkellymusic.com to hear the song we played today and for other information.
Yeah, buy my album, y'all. The best damn country songs in the world. Y'all will not regret it.
Thanks for being with us. See you next month. That's going to do it for Monday. Join us tomorrow. Till then, I wish you a magnificent day.